Well, welcome everybody to the Q2 product webinar update, and we're just excited. My name is Stephen Bowles, and this is John Alexander, and we are thrilled. We've been doing a bunch of webinars, but excited specifically about this one because we get to really nerd out on the product. So if you didn't know it already, or if you didn't hear me on the front end, JP Chat's with us. Anyone who's been in the product at all has bumped into JP Chat, I'm sure. And so, if you have any questions or any particular topics that you'd love to cover today, we are allocating time in the agenda for that towards the end. And then obviously any questions we can answer along the way, we will. But with that, Johnny's going to walk us through a couple things on the front end. So Johnny, what is about it?
Yeah, first off, excited to be back. I know Steven's been kind of taking the reins these past few weeks, doing a ton of really cool webinars. So super excited to be chatting with you guys, answer some questions, also showing some really cool stuff. As far as the agenda today, we're going to be touching on, some of our upcoming webinars that we're going to be doing in addition to this one. Throw a few polls your way as always. We've got a couple updates on the new app dash that some of you have been, hopefully a lot of you have been testing and playing around with over the last month or so. And then we've got two big new features to show, or actually probably three, some active user notifiers, crew chat, which is really exciting. Definitely a highly requested feature over the last, I guess, couple of years, actually. Some over-under updates, and then Steven's also going to be showing some prompter and one of our views called featured view, which has actually been a really cool adjustment for some of these virtual meetings and virtual prompting and stuff like that. So and then at the end we'll wrap with some user tips or pro tips from Steven and I, and then finally end with Q&A as always. So if you haven't already, feel free to shoot some questions in the chat. We're going to be answering those, queuing those up, maybe touch on them throughout it, but we'll definitely carve off a good chunk of time at the end to make sure that all those questions are answered. So with that, I'm just going to lead into showing you, if you haven't already seen some of the webinars that we've done or are curious about some of our upcoming ones, on our website, we've got a banner right here, which you can click on, or if you go to our resources tab, you can go to the webinars page. This page has, you can see in the upcoming webinars to the right-hand side, we've got a cool one on Thursday with Uncle Toad's Media Group. Also have one next week with the San Antonio Stock, or maybe the week after that, San Antonio Stock and Rodeo, which is a really cool one, very unique. Super excited to kind of watch that one with Darcy Owens. But then if you happen to have missed any of our previous ones, we've been doing 2 a week for, I think like 3-4 weeks, Steven. I may have to clarify that for me.
Exhausting, that's all I know, exhausting. But
he's had his work cut out for him for sure. But some really cool ones. Did one MSUM with John Webking, college, obviously. Riot Games with John Deppa, really cool virtual broadcast, esports. So if you're in the esports space or curious about it, highly request that one. The Legends, Golden Knights with Aaron, and then many more, Saints, LSU, and then even some cool ones. Stevie did one on virtual meetings. Big, obviously big talk these days. A lot of people transitioning or looking to transition. So if you need some tips and things like that, this is a really good one that Steven did as well. And then there's some of our other ones that we've done in the past as well. I think we're going to throw it to a few polls. Steven, you want to fire those things off?
Yeah, let me get them going. So the one we like to ask, just to help us understand a little bit more about everyone on the call, and honestly for you guys to understand other industries that are out there, what kind of production workflow are you guys doing? We obviously, people are new to Shoflo or used to it. We're kind of split between all of the industries, whether it's live broadcast, game presentation, corporate event, sort of external events, and then also internal events for kind of larger corporations who are doing just kind of meetings and things of that nature in more of an internal way. So I'm going to go ahead and hit in poll, and let's see if I can do it. There we go, sorry. In poll, and I'll go ahead and share those results with you guys. Looks like that is looking pretty great. Mostly corporate event production, which is awesome. Okay, cool. And then the next one, just to kind of share that around for everybody, would be really more of like, what is your role? That helps us kind of understand a little bit more of the people that are on the call. Show callers, producers, directors, show tech. There's a role for everybody in Shoflo, but obviously, the different roles, like more of a show caller or an admin or a producer, you might be needing different features. And so that's always helpful for us as well, too, to just kind of be aware of who's on the call, and we can share those results here now. Awesome. And looks like we got mostly show callers, which is cool. And then directors and producers, which is great as well too, guys. Well, fun. All right, so Johnny, yeah, let's do a real quick overview of what expectations should be there on the app dash side, and then we'll jump into some other fun stuff as well too.
Yeah. So I mean, the new app dash, we've obviously been working on it a lot over the last few months. It's been in kind of a public beta. Through the banner at the top, you can opt in. We won't touch through all the features and things like that in it, but we've squashed a few bugs, finishing up a couple things. But this is definitely going to be making a transition for everybody here in a bit. So if you haven't already checked it out, I would encourage you to continue to play with it. Let us know any thoughts, feedback you have. You can always shoot us a note in the chat or feedback at shoflo.tv. But yeah, really excited to kind of fully release that thing over the next few weeks.
Sweet, cool. Well, let's go into active users, Johnny. Why don't you kind of show off what active users is? Reminder for people while Johnny's kind of getting that set up. This is something we actually turned on more recently, like a week or two ago. And so that's in what we call public beta. So public beta is different than private beta. Public just being it's right there available for you today. You don't have to request it from us. But it is still in beta, meaning we expect that you might find something a little weird every once in a while. But it's stable enough to really be something that you could explore using on Shoflo, and we can get your feedback as we go. But Johnny, I got you up on the screen. Go ahead and start talking through it.
Yeah, so active users in here, you can kind of see you'll notice at the very bottom you've got profile photos and these are 3 different users, including myself, that are active in this show at this point in time. And you can also see their selectors. So you can see looks like JP's moving around. You can see their little profile photo in the bottom right. If you hover over it, you can see Steven's in that one. I can move. They're going to see that move. So this is just a good indicator, especially these day and ages when a lot of people are collaborating on these through virtual meetings like this, or pre-production meetings or whatever, or just presenting virtual around all over the country, around the world. Just a great indicator of where people are making edits. If you double click on something or somebody making an edit, I think it highlights. So yeah, there's just some cool ways to just keep track of that. You can see this highlights JP's now making an edit in there. So another cool indicator. So yeah, play with it, check it out. Hopefully it's helpful when you're collaborating on these different events.
One more note I'd say on that is anyone who's got good ideas on this, obviously we've got loads of them, but one thing we've been considering is having this be something that maybe follows along with you as you track, where you can kind of see how many people are actively tracking you. As a show caller, I think that might be a strong feature to be able to have confidence that your crew is actually, kind of rolling with you right now. Other things that we've considered is the ability to select one of the users below and actually go to where they are in the show. So if I selected Johnny's face down below, it would actually jump me to his viewport. We thought that would be some cool functionality too. But as you guys are experiencing this, please send that feedback. Use the little blue chat bottom right, and just really kind of allow us to know what you're feeling about it, because that's what this is all about, making sure it's something that actually works for you guys. And then to that end, if let's see, I think I could probably demonstrate that a little bit here. Yeah, so this is another user. So these are 2 different users. So Johnny, I'm going to select item 2 here, and you can see on his screen, we've actually got Johnny doing a screen share through Google Hangouts, so we don't have to do remote, switch presenter view. So it's sort of a trial run we're doing ourselves here in the world of virtual events. But anyway, so you can kind of see here, I'm moving around, and that's appearing for Johnny on his end as well too. And so Johnny, if you move over into my items row here, column, and maybe go in, there you go. So cool. So that it's very live. It's real time. It's going to follow down to the very, like, essentially the millisecond. The only delay here is actually the travel time of the screen share to get to Johnny and then back to me. So pretty cool feature. And again, you should see that really as you're in Shoflo even today. So cool. All right. Well, so that's that one. The next one we're kind of excited about. So what I'll do is I'm going to temporarily just kind of bring my screen in here and kind of take over most of the screen here. So the next one I'm going to walk us through is what we call our essentially crew chat or event crew chat. And Johnny's right. This is like one of the most requested features, I think, or upvoted features in Canny since the beginning of Canny. And therefore, and really anyone who's worked at Shoflo knows that people have been asking about this concept since I first started demoing Shoflo like 7 years ago. Anyways, so what we're doing here is we're saying, hey, there's a lot of tools out there like Slack, and there's tools out there, like team chats, and we're not really trying to replace that. So just, that's what we're not trying to do. But once you actually get in Shoflo and you're engaging inside of it, it would make sense that whoever is in your event and has access to your event crew or is on your event crew might want to be having something additional to just calm as you're interacting with people, on show site, or certainly in this distributed kind of workflow of a production workflow of an environment we're in right now. So you can kind of see it's right down here at the bottom right. And what we're basically saying, and we're going to move it, we're going to collapse these two and make them, not look like they're the same thing. But for the beta right now, we just kind of have it right here. And so any event that you open will have production, lighting, video, and audio channels by default. And so if you were to go into the production channel, if I was to, for example, say, hey, at John Alexander, is the graphics ready yet? Question mark, and hit send. It's really that simple. And so John, I'm sure right now, is actually going to get in there. We can see that John Alexander is typing, and he says, ready to go, which is cool. So then there's some fun things we can do with that. We could come over hover over that right there and just quickly go, hearts. Thank you, Johnny. Or I could say, sweet, let me get at JP chat to confirm as well too, if I know how to spell. And then JP, that's going to send JP a message, etc. And JP is going to be able to come in and participate as well. So really cool stuff. And then in addition to that, you also have the ability to have more of a direct message. So we can kind of see here, here's John Alexander. And if I was to click John, I could be like, yo, what's up? And so I can send that directly to John. And this isn't something that's seen in the production channel or in the lighting channel or anything like that. This is something that's going to be seen directly in a chat with me and John. And so I know that these are all of my crew right here that are currently in Shoflo. And again, that's in this event. If I was to be an event agency and I was working on multiple different events, if I went from event A to event B, there would be its own dedicated production channel, its own dedicated lighting channel, and the crew on that would be unique to that event. So that's a very important thing, and that's actually a differentiator from Slack and some of the other team chat-based things. Those things you have to choose if you want to use them on show site, how to do that. Do you create a dedicated channel for the event? How do you bring people in and out of it? It gets messy really quick, and so this is allowing you to have a little bit more of a controlled, boxed-in team chat relative to your event. And so Johnny, what I'm going to do is do a little side-by-side here. So let me see how effective that's going to be. I'm going to put that here. And then Johnny, I will move go and open up your event chat, John. Cool, there we go. So John, why don't you go ahead and send me a message while I'm in the production channel here. There we go. So Johnny, we can see Johnny's actually sending me a message. I like it. So then down here, I can see John actually did show up with a little red notification. And I can say, nah, I'm good. And I could send a thumbs up if I wanted to. I don't know if that was showing inside the screen share. There you go. Cool. So very simple, but good example of what we're trying to do here. Here's another example I want to show for everybody who's kind of excited about this feature. You can go and actually find a URL that might be unique to Shoflo, it might be unique to Dropbox, or it might be unique to YouTube. So let's go to YouTube real quick, and let's just see what they're promoting this day. All right, there we go, SNL. So let's click SNL, and I'm going to copy that URL. Now I'm going to come back over, and maybe in the video channel, I'm going to be like, at John Alexander, is this the video we're thinking about downloading? And then I could hit Command V, paste that in there. And so what's cool is this chat even like brings in some of those like more beautified links where you could actually even play the YouTube clip right here in line inside the chat, which is kind of fun. And then again, we've got all that notifications and the way to comment on top of things. Other things that are cool about this is I could actually upload a file in here. So I could come over to this, and maybe I come over and I grab the a GIF. I guess let's see how that. I've never actually uploaded a GIF, so let's find out how this goes. So I might upload the GIF, and then I'm going to hit just simply enter, or I guess maybe what do you think? Question mark send. Come on, GIF. There it is. Boom. So it'll pass through GIFs, it'll pass through images, and actually what's pretty fun too is you could even drag and drop and put in a PDF as well too there. So let's see if I can demonstrate that. I'll just do it by uploading it directly. So if I was to go over and grab an XLS, like this, hit open, we can even send things of that nature. So pretty cool. Now I do want to put a disclaimer out there real quick. The files that you put into chat are not the same and shared necessarily with Shoflo's docs. We will get there, that's the plan. But in this current phase of it, you should know that while you can get access to them, and so can Johnny, just because you dropped it here doesn't mean that it's the same as if you were in the actual Q2 webinars event dashboard and you were to actually come in here and upload a file this way. Those are not the same thing. Also, right now, in the current iteration of what it is, the file that you upload here, including videos, photos, etc., will not be things that we could get to inside of that chat, at least not in a quick, expedient way. Cool. All right, Johnny, any questions on chat while we're on the subject?
Yeah, there's a couple. One of them is, can you do PowerPoint files through chat?
Absolutely. I don't honestly know if I have a PowerPoint file, but I will look in the window while we're at it. But the truth is that it basically doesn't actually matter. Whoa. It doesn't actually matter what your file type is. It will just let you do it. So that's how that works.
Also had another person, can you do an all call on the chat?
Yeah, so let's try that. So you can do, if anyone's familiar with Slack and things of that nature, you can do kind of like an at channel, I believe. Maybe it's at group. Well, it did exist. Yes, that type of functionality we would be looking to bring in, where you can essentially do a notification for the entire group and everyone would see that. Actually, a note on that right there. Feedback that we're hoping to hear from you guys and validation with our roadmap for chat is basically this. We really believe that being able to potentially come in and actually go to a cell and do an at John Alexander, hey, just uploaded the latest script, that would actually then pass through to John Alexander's chat here. And then when John sees that, he could click a really beautiful link, kind of like what we were looking at earlier with some of the stuff earlier. I guess that was in video. Yeah, where he could actually click a link and that would directly go to the place in Shoflo that you were referencing in the cell. So our vision for this feature and functionality would certainly be to bridge them into Shoflo edits and tables and things of that nature. Cool. Johnny, anything else?
Yeah, there's a couple more I think that are good, and then we can maybe push off some of the rest towards the end. But one of them is, can you customize chat groups like other departments?
Yeah, so the answer is the technology is there. We are currently holding that off just so as to understand a little bit more how people use the default channels that we have created for you. which is production, lighting, audio, and video. But we understand that there's, you know, if big show would have more than just those groups, you could be staging, rigging, it could be whatever, or you might want a producer channel. So the plan absolutely would be that this has a create channel that only admins can do, admins of the event. And then from there, that channel would be something that is accessible for people. We really see this as kind of like an auxiliary support to COM. And then certainly in the environment we're in right now where people are honestly trying to pull off remote virtual events with remote presenters, you got to figure out your way to chatting with your presenter anyways, and certainly your crew. There are some really cool tools out there like Discord and others. So this is just our little contribution to that problem space, but we want to learn more from users how you guys are using it and then iterate on it from there. So one more note I'll say on this, and then we'll jump into over under, which is another really, really cool feature. So this is a private beta. So what that means is that as a team, whoever's sort of managing the team, in this case, in this scenario, the team right here for this is called Shoflo account setup. But if this was to be ABC Productions or XYZ sports team, what we need you to actually reach out to either feedback@shoflo.tv or use the blue chat down here and formally request access to that beta feature of chat. And then from there, we would turn it on for the team. And then any events on the team would be able to benefit from that moving forward. So we can do it for you today. Go ahead and send those requests in, and we'd love to get that set up with you today or certainly this week as we go through it. Cool. Johnny, anything else on that one before we jump over to the next?
No, let's just keep moving, and there's a couple more I think we can talk about at the end, but okay. Keep moving on these.
Cool. So the next one, guys, is called over under, or some in the industry might call it heavy or light. The concept here is that when you're actually building out a show, you're doing your best, right? This thing starts at 3 and it's a series of 5 and 10 minutes, durations. And we all hope and want that to be true, to whatever extent we can. We want the plan as we know it right now to go true. But what actually happens is during a live show, and even during rehearsals, but certainly during a live show, it's fat or heavy, it's heavy or light, it's over or under, whatever you use in your terminology. The plan is an active and fluid thing that's adjusting minute to minute, second to second. And so what we've done is we've created something called over under. It's available for the show caller. And I'm zooming in right now. Usually this sits to the right, but it's going to look a little different. We'll clean that up. But anyways, it sits underneath down here. And so if I was to flip this little switch to on, we can see we actually opened up a whole new clock up here, and it's called over and under. And there's another piece to it that says it's currently slated to end at 3:41 p.m. So let's start with that right there. So we're saying it's going to end at 3:41. How do we know that? Well, we're going to go to your start time. We're going to say, how long is your last duration? It's 10 minutes. Well, there you go, 3:41. And we're sort of rounding up. We're not beating you up on seconds there. So when you have over and under on, if as a show caller, I was to track into, for example, Jeff Johnson's keynote right here, if I was to track to that element, a couple of things are now starting to happen. One is we're now putting the item runtime clock right here in the duration, right underneath it. And it's in green currently. And it's basically saying, you've been in this thing for give or take 20 seconds. There's 40 seconds right now if you were to track out that you could buy back if you were to exit quick. So I'm going to try and exit right at 30 seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1, out. So there you go. I bought back 30 seconds in my current duration. And you'll notice over here on the over under, we now are 30 seconds under on the show. We can see now we're moved on to item 5, which is a panel. There's never been a panel in the history of panels that's lasted 30 seconds, but for the sake of demonstration, we're going to go for it. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what happens if you go over on a specific item. Ready? So we're just going to have to play the waiting game and actually get through 0. So 2, 1, 0. So now as I've gone through that, what's happening is I'm actually counting down your under because you're losing time on your show. every second that you go over, you're stealing time that maybe you had already gotten ahead of. And so it's up to you to actually work the problem there, right? So I'm going to keep letting it go just a little bit longer. Right now we're 22 seconds over on the row, but we're 5 seconds under on the show. And sooner or later, if you go over too long, we're going to go into the negatives on the show, right? The positives. You're fat, you're heavy, you're over. So now I'm going to track out. Boom, we're in the Michael Johnson play on, 15 seconds, but I'm 10 seconds under. If I'm trying to buy back 10 seconds, I should exit now. Oof, I barely got it. 1 second over, and so on. So I think everyone's kind of seeing the point here. So this is an exciting tool. This is something we've really been dialing in via conversations with a variety of different groups. Broadcast. This is a broadcast tool. You would see this in more of the broadcast truck environments. I think that in general, event agencies and people producing corporate events would really benefit from this and should use these types of tools, but they just typically aren't sort of trained or equipped to do it like that. But I think everyone in the back of their brain is always asking, okay, I got to maybe cut this guy's segment down by 2 minutes because right now we're not scheduled to end the whole general session until, 15 minutes over. So a couple of like just rules that go with over under, one of which is you have to hit stop broadcast to actually stop the counting, right? So as soon as I hit stop broadcast, the show caller now has stopped broadcasting their position, and therefore we're not tracking that anymore. Also, down here on the over under, there's a reset button, and that reset button literally lets you reset back to 0 and clear the board of all of these duration offsets. So I'm going to click that right now, and we can see that just did that. So that cleared all of the duration offsets, and it reset me back to 0. And now I can go ahead and get started again. And I'm just going to track into the panel. And we can see that we all started with a 30-second IRT. And we're waiting till it gets below 0 before it starts deducting. Or we're going to track forward, of which we just bought ourselves 18 seconds of time. All right, other things that I want to make sure we note here. When the only one who has control over this piece down here is the show caller. So if I was to actually go find, look at John Alexander's right now, you can see that John currently, he's seeing my offsets, he's seeing the over under up here, but he does not have the control mechanism to actually turn it on or off or to clear and reset things. And that's by design. We only want John to be able to, we only want John to benefit from seeing that information, but by not necessarily. So yeah, John, I'm gonna pull my screen out, and we'll look at yours side by side. I'll kind of do mine to the side here. Let me zoom out just a little bit. I don't know why my thing's getting stuck there. Cool. So if I actually come over here and I was to just sort of start tracking onto item 10, John, are you tracking with me? And now you can see that John is seeing the countdown on the left, and I'm seeing my countdown as well too. And then John, if you want to, I'll go ahead and move mine down, but you can see John's also got the over under at the top. So if I actually just space bar forward, we're both going to see that we both just got back and got an updated offset for item 3, and our over under summary clock at the top has been updated as well too. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause there for a second and just make sure there's any questions. John, have any questions come in on this yet?
Yeah, one good question, does the over under time remain as part of the cell history? So if the client wants to know how much the presenter went over, that information is available. Is that information available?
Great question, great question. So yeah, right now if I turn my broadcasting off, this is available until you hit reset. So if I was to, for example, leave the show, if you ran your broadcast and then you wanted to come back, or your show, whatever it might be, and then you wanted to come back after the event and walk through that, or even just right after the show, We're not going to get rid of that information. It is just a reset button away, so be cautious on that. But the reason we have the resets there is so that you can learn through rehearsals. That's what it's about. And ultimately update your actual durations based on how effective you are at calling, or how honest your show ever was in the first place. To be frank,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's to be able to be a tool to be, you can go, hey, 3 rehearsals in a row, and we can't get this thing under 10 minutes. So let's be honest and go ahead and either cut another element or something, you know. So that's the
Got
answer.
another good question too. In the sports space, is the over/under only for like the event like in the entirety of the event, or could you do it in sections, like each inning or breaks between a sports game?
That is a good question. Yeah, so the way that it works, it really doesn't care. I think you might have seen it. In its current form, it does not really care about when I started to do over under. So I could start at the top of the show, or I could start here. So I guess to make my point there, if I added a new row right above this, made it a title row, and just called this block, B, and then I'll duplicate this real quick and move this to the top, command up arrow, and there we go, block A. So it really doesn't matter, and then I can even delete stuff to really kind of make it look pretty. And then you might have an override time at this 3 p.m. And then you might have an override time here that says, regardless, we're going to start this thing at 4 o'clock p.m. It's not really considering anything other than when you start tracking that duration and any other duration you've done. So for example, if I tracked this one here, I could then skip rows and then track the panel. And then I could track back up to the video opener. And really it's following the show caller's lead in terms of what you determined your show order to be. And it's just summing up the duration offsets since the last time you hit reset. So I guess I share all that to say for that question. You could actually run an entire element. You could run an entire inning, if you want to say it that way. You could run an inning out, track through it, or a pre-show, or whatever it might be. And then once you get to your in-game experience or each time out, actually all you would need to do is just hit reset and this one, and then start again. And then you're sort of being honest again from that point moving forward. I'd love to get more feedback for whoever asked that question, if they want to do more of a user feedback session, because I think understanding how that might work inside of multiple groups of blocks of elements inside of one show would be helpful for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good use case for sports that maybe we weren't thinking through, but good opportunity.
Cool. What else?
Do you want me to do a couple more of these? Let me see.
Yeah, while we're on
it. Do you have to leave the over/under on, toggled on, in order to keep those over/under times?
You do, but no, you can turn them off. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. So if I was to track a row here, and then we're going to track another one. These are going to be a lot. We're buying back a lot of time here. Okay, cool. So there we go. We've got those on, and now I'm going to stop broadcasting. So those are now new. That's the marked up offset duration offsets. If I was to not hit reset, but simply just turn this off, and I was to come back later at a later time and turn them on, we are holding the last set values for you. So if that answers your question, hopefully it does.
Yeah, until you press reset, it holds those whether you toggle it on or off.
That's correct. That's correct.
Let's see. I think that's probably good on this feature. There's a couple on chat that we can maybe circle back to at the end, but
yeah,
I think we're in a good place to move forward. Okay,
same thing we said about crew chat, guys. This one is this is a private beta, which just means that you need to do a formal request to us through either feedback@shoflo.tv or the blue chat at the bottom, and we will turn this on. This is a feature that's turned on team-wide. So it would be available for anyone who's working inside of your team account would benefit from this feature.
That is a show caller. has the permission of show
that
color.
has a permission of show color to turn it on and off. But like we're demonstrating here, Johnny, who's not a show caller, will benefit from seeing that stuff as well too. Okay, cool guys. Well, let's keep rocking. I think the last one I wanted to spend a moment on is how some teams are currently using Prompter and Featured View. So let me not waste a lot of time on this, but just demonstrate it real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our little lorem ipsum generator. I'm going to call this column script. And then we're going to go down to Jeff Johnson, or the welcome from Keynote from Janet Jackson. Apparently she's still doing something. So we're going to go ahead in here and we're going to just, I'm going to talk about this for a second. So in this view, you can have a script. You can also, with the eyeball upper right, go to what we call featured view. So featured view is going to be a view that puts your items on the left, your timings, and then also comes in and lets you choose one particular column to feature. And so by selecting this row that I put that text in, we can see here that I've got a really, here's my script. The reason I want to point this out is we are finding that remote presenter teams that are trying to solve problems for remote presenters currently in this virtual event and meeting climate could use this as a piece of software that can helpful there. A couple reasons, none the least of which is over under, which I just showed. Item runtime clock. So if you track elements here, you're actually going to be kicking off item runtime clocks that they're going to be able to see as well, which is cool. And then it also allows them to follow you as a show caller. And so as you move from item to item, it's going to load the script contents into there. Other things that are cool is they can go in and make edits. So if you made them a contributor permission, they might come in here and be like, remember to pause or something like that. Maybe they give it a little preset format or something like that. So they're able to do that, and that would again pass through to people over here who are just viewing this in the standard table view, or the producer or the show caller, things of that nature. Other things you can do is if you wanted to, you basically have the option to come in here, and we have preset formatting now. So if you wanted to say Jeff or Jeff, by selecting it and hitting Command 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and all the way through 9, we're basically creating different views, different kind of styling formats. So Command 1 is literally designed for prompter people who kind of make it look like that as well too. And then finally, I'm going to go over here and switch to prompter view. You can do that by clicking the upper right corner, or you can go to the eyeball and go to switch to prompter view. And this is, again, one of the challenges I know a lot of teams are facing right now is how do you get prompter in front of remote audiences or remote presenters? And this can be an option for you. So again, over here on the right, you can open this up. You can really control your text size. You can control bold, all caps, line heights, things of that nature. Your speed and your direction can be defined. And then you can also on the left side here, see the different items and jump between scripts if you wanted to. And then once you're in it, by simply just hitting the space bar, that allows you to go into more of a prompter view type experience. So there's a lot to this feature. Anyone who's curious about it, wants to trial it or anything like that, please reach out to the blue chat or reach out to your Shoflo account executive. And we would love to do a deeper dive into this teleprompter and how we're seeing teams use this every single day for virtual events right now. All right, Johnny, I think I got us pretty much covered there. I think the last one is some pro tips, and then we'll go into a wide open Q&A real quick. So Johnny, what's your pro tip? What's your favorite pro tip that enough people aren't using and they need to be using to kind of just make their Shoflo life a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple, there's a lot of little hidden things I think that are nice tips. One that I know kind of can help people is like quickly moving rows, whether that's a singular row or multiple rows. The easiest way to do that is you can, when you highlight an element, you can use the tilde key, which is a select. You can also do that by hovering over it, and there's a circle icon right to the right of that cogwheel that you can also use to select. But you can actually grab as many rows as you want. And then if you use the move row command, which is on a Mac, it's command plus the up or down arrow. Or on a PC, I think it's control up or down arrow. Is that correct? Or alt? I can't remember. But anyways, when you do that, I can just quickly now move these three elements below the Jeff Johnson play on. And you can see I move those there. So really great for on the fly, like moving blocks of rows. And I think it's just a quick tip. And then kind of in that same realm, for those of you who are crew and like to personalize your views, you can use similar style format or moving for columns as well. So for example, a couple quick ones, like if I needed to move the script all the way to the left, I can just highlight a cell in the script column and I can do command left or right arrow. So if I use the left arrow, I can move it. I can move audio all the way to the right. I can use command E to hide video, hide lights, hide audio, and then also if I want to, hide private notes, but I'll just keep it open. So yeah, real couple of just quick things to help navigate, and then of course you can bring stuff back as well. So those are some of the keyboard shortcuts I think that can be really helpful. And then the last, I'll just keep all mine on kind of some keyboard shortcuts. I don't know if we mentioned this before, Stevie, on a previous one, but we did add a couple new ones, the jump to rows. Yeah. I think that are really cool. I think it's titled Jump if you search. So if you search in and I get here, sorry if I'm jumping too quick, the question box in the top right, this is a helpful keyboard shortcut kind of menu where you can see all of our keyboard shortcuts. You can see we're big fans of them over here. We continue to add to these. And it's going to display it in whatever device that you're on. But if you search jump, these are a couple cool ones that we added. Jump to title row above, jump to title row below, jump to first row, jump to last row. So these are just helpful strokes to kind of help you navigate. This is obviously a very small run of show, only like 10 elements, but we've seen hundreds, of these. So being able to quickly jump back and forth, I think, and then also these moving of rows can be really helpful. So definitely if you've been a user for probably more than a month or even getting in, but anticipate using this heavily, I highly encourage checking out those keyboard shortcuts because they can save a tremendous amount of time if you're the ones making a lot of updates to the script.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. And then yeah, so Johnny's mouse wasn't entirely showing through all the time there, but it's in the upper right corner here, and it's the question mark, and that's how you will get access to the shortcuts. And those are great ones. One I'll mention, Johnny, I think that would be really, really good is the PDF export down here. You can save presets of your layout. So right here, if for example, the script column might be too big, it's unnecessary for the crew, I can turn that off. I could maybe say I want to go with a little bit more of a comfortable layout or a compact layout. And maybe you want to go with portrait or landscape. Either way, let me also just get rid of private notes here. So then I can come up here to select a preset and I can hit create new preset. I can call this the Stevie Special 001, hit create preset, and there we go. Let's say that I also wanted to create a different one that is for the script, and maybe it's just script and audio, or maybe it's just script and the contents, like this. And maybe we do go portrait. You can kind of see what that might look like in our preview mode here. Yep, cool, pretty cool. So then from here, I could come in as well and basically just go and hit create new preset. And I can call this the Stevie Special 2 script view. Hit create preset, and there we go. And so what we're seeing is basically the ability for you to switch between these different things and quickly get access to that. So it's kind of fun, and I would honestly encourage everybody to do it, who's especially in sports when you're working inside of the same script a lot. These things will persist, meaning if you duplicate a show or whatever it is, it'll follow with you from one into the next show.
Yeah, and I've heard too in corporate, you have some people that are there. One of their responsibilities is generating, PDFs and print offs for a lot of different people. So if that's one of your roles, you can actually create each look, your audio, your video, all of that. And then every time somebody makes changes and you need to generate a new version, it's just as simple as clicking, selecting the drop down, exporting. So you don't have to customize those looks every single time. So another thing that's helpful if you are generating a lot of PDFs on ShowSite.
Cool. And then one more there is we do have the ability to add a custom page break. So you might not initially like the fact that this thing drops block A and block B onto the same page. And so from there, you might come in here, hover over in edit mode, and drop a page break in there. Next time you go over to preview, we're actually going to show that with the page break in there after it generates the actual PDF. There you go. Boom. So now we can see we have two different pages. Really cool and helpful tools for people that are using Shoflo, day in and day out. All right, questions, Johnny. We're going into open Q&A.
Yeah, got quite a few. We'll do our best to get through some of these. This is a good one just for right at this point in the webinar. Can you recap, Stevie, what specifically do they need to do to request to add these beta?
That's great. And actually, for anyone who's just sticking around only for the 45 minutes, I'll end with this. And anyone who wants to stick around for open Q&A will be on as long as there's questions coming in. So yeah, my request would be that you come down here and click the other blue chat, although you don't have the one on the left yet because you have to request it. So that's the easiest spot. You can do that from either inside the application, or you can do that from shoflo.tv, just our main marketing site. Identify yourself. We just need to confirm that you're an event, you're a team admin for your team, basically that you have the proper authority to request and turn these features on. And then that will get forwarded to our customer success team, which JP Chat on the call heads up, and he will coordinate with you and let you know when we've turned it on. So in general, it doesn't take very long for us to do it, but if you have an event that's very timely, like tomorrow, let us know. Otherwise, we'll get to it over the next 24, 48 hours. Also, same concept. So you want to identify that as the chat feature or the over/under feature. And then both of these features, I just want to say again, these are in private beta. So we feel pretty confident that there's nothing they can do to actually impact negatively your event. Meaning just the data that we're using for that and the functionality and the code are sort of appropriately isolated from what you've used to kind of drive your normal show. But there's a chance that while using it, you might see something not appear as you expected it, and that is what that's what you're joining into when you join into a private beta. Cool. Otherwise, guys, we're going to stick around and ask more questions or answer more questions. But reminder: shoflo.tv, resources, webinars is where you can find us. And then also, please, if you don't mind, go over to LinkedIn and find us on LinkedIn. We're looking to continue to be able to share some of the story and the messages of what Shoflo is doing over there. So help us expand our base as well there. With that, appreciate you and have a great rest of your day. Johnny?
All right, yeah, we got some good ones. One of them was, does the chat save with the script? Can I go back and reference it later on?
Does the chat save the script?
Does the chat save like with the script, like maybe after an event, or is it like, I guess maybe talk through where is that? How do you re-access that data? Is it on the show level? Is it on event level?
Yep, that's great.
Maybe
so yeah, on every event, it's got its own dedicated chat, and think about it like it's saved database of chat for that unique event. So right now, what is an important thing I haven't mentioned yet is I could be in the broadcast show and Johnny could be in the run a show 001, Johnny, and then we could both be chatting. So you can have different game scripts, you can have different general sessions, you could even have breakout sessions and your main GS. But if you're housing all of those rundowns in the same event, then you're going to see and be able to communicate across those. So Johnny right here, in that entire conversation I had with him, I'm able to see it even though I'm looking at an entirely different show. And again, that's because they're housed within a single event. Now, to demonstrate that, if I go up to the team level and I was to go into example event here, and I was to go into football game script, the chat that shows up in this is going to be absolutely isolated and unique to this particular event. And we can see right there, production, lighting, video, and audio, and there's nobody else in this event yet. So it's a from scratch deal. That being said, we're not deleting the data in those event crew chats. So you could go back and access a event that ended last, spring. And you could remember some of the conversation that's going on there. An interesting comment on this, and anybody who actually wants to use chat for an upcoming event or for a period of time, I'd love to get your feedback here. But we're debating on if you were to duplicate a past event, would you prefer that actually bring over the chat or not? Meaning, I could identify or see where a corporate event that is doing the 2019, I don't know, product launch, and now they're doing the 2020 product launch, they might benefit from being able to see some of the conversations and notes that they said last year about that same event. So that's something we're having conversation about on our end right now. Cool. What else, Johnny?
Here's one I can just kind of answer. Somebody's asking about, can you take the private notes column to featured view? You can't. However, it is very easy. I don't know, Steve, you maybe showed on your screen, but where you can just copy like an entire column of private notes and paste it in another cell, and then you can actually then take that. But as of right now, you can't present your private notes in the featured view.
Yeah, so just again, people are not familiar with copy and paste in Shoflo. You can select a cell and then hit Shift and then select the next cell. That's a range. Then you can hit Command C. You could then select your target place, hit Command V, and it's going to drop those in there. Same thing here. If I wanted to select that group of cells, I could also come up here and do a group background change. We could change their colors. And then ultimately, like Johnny was saying, I could range select what's in my private notes and drop it into another notes column. And then I guess from there, you would go to featured view. And then that would be passing through your featured view. You would select other notes. And there it is. I don't know what I did there. Huh, I don't know what happened to my other notes. Let's see if I can get it. Anyways, Johnny, what's the next question while I'm...
Yeah, there's some other good ones. Are the PDF presets per account or show? I guess meaning like, are the PDF presets, how are those based? Like, how do those carry over?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Where's that stored?
Yep. So right now, if I go to PDF export, I see that I have my two, sorry guys, my Zoom screen share gets in the way every once in a while. So I have these two presets right here. So now if I was to come back out at the event level and I was to duplicate this show, maybe call it show 2, just for the sake of demonstration purposes. Not sure why it's doing that. Anyways, we'll get into show 2. So this duplicated show now should still have my 2 presets. So the answer to that is it follows with you through a duplication. But if you were to create an entirely new show from scratch, you would be starting out with no pre-existing presets. So preset test 1. And yeah, so in here, you would not have any presets. So presets, PDF presets are not at an event level or team level. They're at a show level or script level, depending on what verbiage you use. And so you would want to, honestly, if you want to keep using presets and use them as a standard, then my suggestion would be that you actually take whatever show you like and that you've got presets for, and then save that as a template. And then that'll be available at the template level on the team wide. And then the next time you go and hit create new show and you click from the drop down, you'll see something in the team templates. And then that should carry with you all of your PDF presets.
Yep. And then those in sports, if you're duplicating shows, that obviously carries over to all of those as well. It's just another point.
Cool.
Got some. Somebody asking, in a broadcast setting, is the teleprompter prompted able to output captioning?
Caption? No. Good question. If that's a teleprompter operator, I'd love to come in on the blue chat. I'd love to set up a user feedback session on that one because
Yeah, if that was you on that question, shoot us a message. Love to connect, learn a little bit more about that need there.
yeah.
Let's see. This is an interesting one from earlier. I think they're talking about the collaborative users in the show. Can you add permissions so the crew can only see certain people and not everyone in the script? They're saying they would only want supervisors to see where others are in the script, and maybe not necessarily other people seeing where supervisors are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to add any context, but I know that we don't have any sort of permissions on that. It's on the show level, and it's whoever has that up in front of them and is actually viewing the show. We weight some of those. We see it just to be more valuable to have it visible, than not.
Yeah, I would say in general, no, this is definitely something that if you're an active user inside of Shoflo, it's just there for that benefit so that you can kind of see where people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Somebody asking, can you set those preset formatting or are those Shoflo defaults? Do you know what he's talking about there? Or is he talking about maybe the PDF?
I think he's talking about the prompter presets because that's what that's what I would want to know. Okay, good question. So no, but want to. This is just something we're kind of rolling out as we go. So yeah, what he's basically saying there is you can kind of see this right here, command 1. If I did command 3, command 4, command 5, command 6. So all these things are options. And so right now we just went ahead and tied those to them. We have designs and UI for how we might do that. So whoever asked that question, please feel free to come in on the blue chat and we can show you a more detailed view of what we're thinking when we think about doing custom presets.
They said, cool, thanks. So
nice.
I get in there. Yeah, I mean, just getting to some other people conversating about, the bringing chat in or not. Some people saying, maybe that would be weird. Others actually saying that being able to like duplicate an event, bringing that chat over to the old chat over to the new event could be really helpful, which I kind of tend to agree on that as well. If you're working with similar people, having to be able to review chats of what happened last year on the event could be helpful, but also people adding, the ability to maybe opt to do that or not, I think makes sense. That's just other kind of conversation that's kind of happening and some other kind of questions around it.
A question I'd have for people on that, and I don't know if there even is in Zoom webinar ability to wave your hand or anything like that. Anyways, yeah, it would just be the idea of like, if you were to use something like chat, what do you feel like is more appropriate to have defined groups of channels where you can have conversation, or would it be more like you want to create every custom one you want, or you want to do like groups of individual like people? Right now, every channel is allowing for any crew member to see the conversation in there. The reason we designed it that way was because, again, following the kind of the principles of maybe CALM, which is like there's a production channel, there's a private video channel and a private audio channel. But, you should get in trouble if you say something stupid on CALM, even though I used to say it all the time. I literally was an idiot on CALM. But anyways, you should get in trouble. And so, you should respect the production channels that are happening here. But I guess the feedback that we'd be looking for, I've been kind of debating internally on our own, is would people rather create groups of people and invite people into these groups of messages, or do they want to just work inside of this idea of a production channel, a video channel, and a lighting channel? So that more just as you guys are experiencing the product, that's stuff we're looking for feedback on.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely obviously our first like iteration of this. So, we didn't want to go too far in one direction with having to come back. So I think anytime you guys are interacting with it or think of scenarios where there's other information that would be helpful or other ways you want to talk to people, all of that, would be great to hear some thoughts as we continue to move on it. Okay, you have anything else to add, Stevie?
No, that's fine. Is there anyone else got another question?
Let's see. I think a lot of these are pretty similar, the ones that were unanswered that we kind of already touched on through other questions.
That's cool. Well, I think we probably just go ahead and like wrap it on that, man. Guys, we really enjoy these webinars, and specifically this one. It's all about user feedback. It's all about showing you stuff that we're working on or working on next. Things for you guys to consider that if anyone has any curiosity on that we're looking at is really being able to actually drive a remote prompter. You could be a teleprompt operator here in Shoflo, and you could share a link to somebody else, like 100 people if you wanted to, all around the world, and they're sitting there kind of in a ready position with prompter, and then when you as the operator hit spacebar and start to scroll forward, it drives that all 100 of those screens forwards or backwards. So if there's any ideas, or if that's something that you guys are interested in on the call, please come in on the chat or in the Zoom right now. That's something we're looking at next. Other things that we're working on, guys, is something in a little bit more in the space of with over under, being able to actually define whether or not you want to use your actual time. So for example, if this particular element, you ran it for, it was supposed to be 5 minutes and you actually ran it for however long this was, 4 minutes in. So basically you were only in there for 10 seconds, let's say. What we're looking at is a little additional toggle that lets you actually have the actual time that you ran it drive the start time of your next row. And so in this scenario, it would be a pretty meaningful impact. It would go from 3 p.m. plus 5 to 3:05 to 3 p.m. plus 10 seconds. So 3:00 p.m. and 10 seconds. So that's some stuff too in the over-under space that we're looking at continuing to do work on in the timing world. Okay, well, cool. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. This is fun. If anybody has just been exploring Shoflo, or I mean, honestly, we're in just these crazy times right now. So just come in and we'll turn your account back on, and we'll give you plenty of sandbox trial time and explore. And honestly, if you want to do a more in-depth demo, or with myself, Johnny, or anyone else on our team, come in on the blue chat or go and request a demo, and we'll do that for you as soon as we possibly can. With that, Johnny, thanks, man. Good job. And we'll catch everybody next quarterly webinar, if not on one of the upcoming Customer Spotlight webinars.
Yep, Thursday. All right, see you guys. Take care.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.